Well, hey, it's Linda. I am starting a series here. So if you've got any questions about anything, I've been a counselor for 30 years and I'm going to try to answer them live on this little show here. So the question that I got this week, which I also saw on the news and I've actually been researching for a while, was about women and alcohol. The women drinking issue has become such a problem since March of this pandemic that there's over 40% of women are reporting that they are drinking heavily during this pandemic. So I'm going to read you a couple of the questions that I've gotten here that I wanted to respond to. And because I know that these aren't the only women that are struggling. One woman wrote and asked, "Why can't I quit drinking? I'm a professional and I'm intelligent. I go to church and I believe in God, but I can't seem to get a handle on this. Last week I got picked up for drunk driving. I only planned to have a glass of wine with dinner, but before I knew it, I was trashed. I don't even remember going to bed. And the next thing I know, the phone rang and I'm late for work. I jumped in the car and sped off. And when the cop picked me up, he could smell alcohol. I was still drunk. Please help me. My life is a mess." Maybe that's you. Maybe you have been lucky like I was and you never got caught drinking and driving, but you've been doing it and you know that you shouldn't be doing it. Maybe you don't intend to be drinking too much. Maybe you don't even know if you are. If you don't know if you're drinking too much, then at the bottom of this, you've got to scroll down and get my steps to the questions, whether or not you are drinking too much. And actually, we're going to go over that in a little bit, whether or not it is too much. What is too much? Well, getting picked up for drunk driving, obviously, it's too much. Another woman wrote, "I can't take it anymore. I hate working from home. And the kids, how can I work and be a full-time teacher with 3 kids? I did terrible in school myself. I have no clue what they are doing. They are stressed out too. I was fine when I was working. Sure, I'd come home and have a beer or a glass of wine, but that was it. Now, with all this stress, I'm ready to start drinking by breakfast. How can I cope? We have a problem today. We definitely have a problem today in our world. And we are all stressed. I mean, I get it. I've been working from home for a few years now, but this is stressful. And doing the normal things that we do isn't real. So what do you do with that stress? What do you do with that anxiety? Because anxiety turns into depression. Depression turns into all kinds of different coping things, whether it is the chocolate, which is one of my downfalls now that I'm not drinking anymore, or whether it is drugs or whether it is food. There's just so many different things we can fall into. I've shared my story on other videos, but for those of you who maybe this is the first time getting to know me, I quit drinking in 1976. I quit using drugs. I used to smoke pot to relax. I used to do a little speed, which I have ADHD, didn't know it at the time, but that always helped me to concentrate. I had good reasons for doing the things that I was doing. And furthermore, I live in Wisconsin, and this is what we do here. This is where you go, the drinking capital of the world with a little cheese on top of it. Drinking is normal here. Drinking is expected here. When you grow up with that, and my godmother owned a bar, so I kind of grew up in a bar on top of it. That's what we do. And I am not saying that there is anything wrong with having a glass of wine or a beer, but within reason. And the problem exists is that our physical bodies have interactions with different foods, with different medications. That's why there is no one fit all anything for anybody, whether it's curing the coronavirus or preventing it or healing it, whatever. There's no cure that works the same with everybody because our bodies are all different. We react to it different. And I now tell people that I'm allergic to alcohol. So they say, what does that mean? What happens when you drink? I drink, I get drunk. I get stupid. I black out. I wake up in weird places with strange people that I don't know, and I have no clue how I got there. God forbid I drove, and I've done it. So I can't afford to take the risk of taking that first drink. That first drink could be the death of me, literally, because I don't know where it's going to end. I don't know if it's going to get me behind the wheel of a car or with some weirdo that I don't know that is going to do God knows what. Because when I black out, and I have no clue what I've done. So if I ended up in jail, I could not tell you what I did. I couldn't say yes. I would have no defense because I don't know what I do when I drink. I can't afford to go there anymore. So I can't afford that first drink. So how much is too much for me? That first drink is too much for me. When it comes to dealing with the stress, it's inevitable. It is inevitable. But you know where stress starts? Stress starts in the mind. It truly is a mental game that we have to play to deal with stress. So when I get anxious and stressed about something, I have to step back and I have to get control of my thinking. Now I'm going to go into this a whole lot more I've got an entire course that I do on this that I hope you'll consider taking. But it is because it does take some practice. And I have been working on this procedure now for 44 years since I stopped drinking the first time. And that first 10 years was a breeze. I was involved in church and people thought drinking was a sin. So it was easy. But then when I started going to a church, being a Christian, that thought it's okay to drink, Jesus turned water into wine. Obviously, it wasn't just grape juice because he wouldn't have had to tell the Corinthian church to not get drunk at communion because he had to instruct them because they were getting drunk all the time. He wouldn't have had to do that if it would have just been regular grape juice. So, there was a purpose for that. And like I said, it's not that the drink itself is the problem. The excess, anything in excess can become the problem. And if you can't do it, I tried for years, folks. I did. I tried to drink responsibly and socially, and without somebody taking that second, third, fourth drink out of my hand, I just was screwed because I once I got on the roll, it was just like, it was all over. And, maybe not. I didn't always end up trashed every single time I drank. Sometimes I could do 2 or 3, but I still would feel crappy in the morning. I still would have blocks of time that I didn't, had wasted. I still wasted a lot of time being stressed out, thinking about, am I going to be able to drink when I get home? Am I, how is it going to go? Do I have it? Buying it. And then I started drinking more before we would go out because my friends didn't think I had a problem, but they didn't know that I didn't want to look like a lush. And they were ready. Seriously, I never did understand this. We'd go buy a pitcher of beer for a fish fry. And they'd have a glass and then they'd finish their dinner and then they'd be ready to go home. And there was still beer in the pitcher. Can you imagine? If you're like me, you can't imagine. Why would you leave perfectly good beer sitting in a pitcher? That's like financially irresponsible to not drink what you purchased, right? So that became a problem. I became aware that they realized I had a problem because I did not want to leave until the rest of the glass was, the stuff was gone. And then we'd leave there and then we'd go over to our friend's house and then we'd drink some more. So why I was so incessant about drinking that, I don't know. So leaving anything in the bottom of a glass just did not make sense to me. That's a clue that you might have, some issues going on there. So let me just go over some of the 10 questions that I have. Here's a few questions to ask yourself. See which one of these fits, if any of them. Number 1, have you used this thing, whether you're drinking, using drugs, whether it's food, whether you're going to the refrigerator yet again, have you used this to escape dealing with your feelings? with your stress, with your anxiety. What maybe it's smoking. Have you felt that you should cut down? Check. Number 2, is it causing you family, friends, or work problems? Now, maybe you don't perceive it as problems, but do you get annoyed when they express concern about it? Have they mentioned it? Gosh, cigarettes are really expensive. Why can't I buy new shoes? Well, because I have to go buy cigarettes, or I need to, you got to make sure you buy that $10, 12 pack, but you can't get your kids something, right? So if you're struggling financially, and yet these are problems. So I'm answering your question for you. So next one, did you ever feel guilty about doing it? Do you get up the next morning or after you're done going, I shouldn't have done that? Did you sneak it or do it in private so no one else would find out? Seriously, I'd still hide my chocolate so my husband doesn't find it. That's awful. That's a clue. I got a problem. Okay. Is this costing you money or time that you don't have to waste? Should you be doing something else? Like maybe, okay, tonight you've set aside, you're going to have a few drinks, but if you feel crappy all day tomorrow because you're hungover, are you wasting time that is not being able to do things that you wanted? Are you at risk of getting in legal trouble for doing it? Is it causing you health problems? Does it make you feel separated from God, from the higher power that created you? See, this is what got me back to where I am today. I realized that I had lost my purpose and my life was falling apart. I was going through a divorce. I lost my job. Everything was falling apart. And I was using drugs and alcohol to cope with it. So I had to regroup and go, what am I on this earth for? Because I tried to quit. I had tried to stop and I couldn't get a handle on it. So I finally got on my knees and said, God, if you're out there, if you got a plan, if you got a purpose, if you've got a way to help me with this, then give me a chance. Give me some hope here. My story is on another one. I'm not going to give it all away right now. You've got to go and look at some of my other videos. I've got one out there. Drinking problem, who me? Find that. I'll link it up here. Drinking problem, who me? That's my story on how I came to where I'm at today. But yeah, God did speak to me and he said, yeah, I do have a plan, and sorry, but alcohol is not a part of it for you, because I couldn't do it responsibly. I couldn't do it without not knowing when I was going to end up in a place I didn't want to be. So what I finally did in 1996, after I drank for another 10 years, and it was progressively getting worse, going from a glass to a bottle to a small box to a big box, and then a big box, and then buy a case of beer just in case we want to have a beer instead of a glass of wine. And sneaking it had gotten bad. And I finally said, God, okay, I'm done now. I really want to make a change. So I realized at that point I could not do it alone. I had to change my playmates and my play places. I had to start hanging around with people who weren't drinking and people who had the same mindset. I had to reach out. I had to get counseling. I had to do a lot of stuff that I didn't want to have to do. And for those of us who are professionals, I've been a counselor for 30 years. I was a Christian leader in my church. I'm pretty smart. I should have known how to do this by myself, but this is part of the top 10 reasons why I think people don't get help. And you can follow me on that too. That's a whole nother video. Top 10 reasons why people don't get help. And a lot of it is denial. I shouldn't have to. I shouldn't have to get help. I should be able to do this on my own. So trying to figure it out, trust me, you need help with this. That's why the AA program works and the 12-step programs works, because there's a system to it and you've got to kind of break it down one thing at a time. Our minds are not a safe place to go by ourselves. Seriously, they're not safe neighborhoods. We shouldn't go there by ourselves when we're trying to quit drinking. We need other people around. Some of the excuses is I can't afford it. can't afford. Well, that's no excuse because there's tons of free help. I do these videos. I've got a group every Saturday morning. At least right now, I'm doing it on Saturday mornings where people can get together and talk about these things, and it's free, and you can join it, and you can be anonymous. And some people are like, I don't want anybody to know who I am. Okay, fine. You don't have to put your name on there. You can make up a fake email. There, excuse after excuse. I had to get rid of all my excuses and not have them anymore. And when you think of, oh, I can't afford to get help, I can't afford to go to counseling, I can't afford to, come on now. I mean, I decided to take my show online instead of charge people $200, $180. The place I worked for was charging $180 an hour for my time. Hey, you know what? You can get a whole lot done. I never got paid that. I got paid 40, which, hey, 40 is great. I'll take 40, but the fact of the matter is when you break down how much it costs you to drink, think about it. Go get a piece of paper and pencil. You think you can't afford to invest in a program that is going to teach you how to not drink anymore? Look at how much money are you spending on drinking? How much money are you spending on smoking? How much money are you spending on junk food and going out to eat and food related stuff? On any of those addictive things that you just can't get a handle on doing? How much are you spending? And then how much time are you wasting doing those activities and feeling crappy physically, mentally, emotionally because you're doing those? And write down how much that costs. What my program costs is a bucket. I mean, in less than a month, you can have the rest of your life paid for. Honestly, it is crazy how much money you can save when you start looking at doing what you need to do. So my best piece of advice, I've got a few things. One thing is access the resources that are on the bottom of this, because there are links that you can go to. One of them is my website. It is LindaLarsonSchlitz.com. You can go there. You can find my free workshops, my free seminars, my blogs, my videos. All of that stuff is there. You can look through all my videos on YouTube. Please, while I'm thinking of it, if you're watching me on YouTube, if you're not, please go do there. Follow it, and then hit that little bell that says that you want to be notified, because I'm going to be doing these whenever I get another letter or another question from someone, I'm going to do another video. So I might be doing these a whole lot more. So check that out and follow me so that you will get notifications of it, and then sign up for that stuff. The other thing you could do, because here's what happens. When you start doing what God wants you to do, and I'm saying God, I'm speaking to about whoever created you, whoever you consider created, you didn't create you. That much I know for sure. And I think you know that. You did not create you. If you take a look outside, I mean, I'm going to fling my camera over here just for a second. Very good. It is fall here in Wisconsin. It is unbelievably gorgeous here in Wisconsin. It is the beauty, just completely beautiful here in Wisconsin. And I absolutely love it. So I love water. Okay, so I took this picture of Lake Michigan, and then my husband took this picture of me. And then this is what happens to me. When I look at the beauty of creation, I realize I did not create this. I did not do this. I cannot take credit for anything. Why am I on this earth? Because God created me to be here to help you today. If there's only one of you on here, if there's only one of you in the whole world that ever sees this, I am here for you. So, and that's fine with me. So it's not about getting paid. It's not about money. It is about transformation of your life by the transformation of my life. My life was changed in 1976 when a 16-year-old girl said, Linda, God's got a plan for you. And it's a good plan. And it's better in doing the life you're living now and being drunk all the time and getting high and going through divorces and, unplanned pregnancies and, dealing with having to figure out if abortion's a good option for you. These are not decisions that you want to have to be making because you haven't thought it through and you don't know what God's purpose is for you. My purpose is to be here. So how do you know what your purpose is? You ask this question. Speak to me, God. I'm listening. That's what I did. I just said, God, speak to me. I'm listening. Tell me what you want me to do. And he did that very powerfully, which again, I talk about in that other video. So this is my 365 daily meditations for those who want to hear God answer life's toughest questions. This is how I live my daily life. This is how I have come to stay clean and sober. This is how I am not 500 pounds yet. I am not where I want to be, but I am on the way to a good lifestyle. This is how I am walking now and enjoying instead of sitting here and watching TV and twiddling my thumbs all day. This is how I am happy the majority of the time instead of being anxious and depressed because life sucks. I still wake up at times and go, I hate my life. I do. I had one of those days the other day. But you know what? It lasted for about 20 minutes. And then I got myself together and then I read and then I'm like, oh yeah. So what I want you to do today is to just, when we're done here, just say, God, if you're real, whoever you are, if you're out there, speak to me. Tell me what you want me to do, and then write it down. Get your pen, get your paper, get your computer, get your word processor, speak into your whatever, write it down. Because what happens here is that God speaks to me. And I just opened this. I had no plan here. I'm just going to read to you what I'm reading. I have no idea. I'm taking a chance. I'm trusting that this is going to have something to do with whatever you need to hear today, whoever you are. This is what God spoke to me on April 17th. My child, I am always waiting patiently for you to take time for me. I have never left you nor forsaken you, and I never will. My love for you endures and longs for you to want to know what my plan is for you. I will guide you on the path that you should go. If you will only take time to be with me and listen to my voice, I wait here with loving open arms to bring you the peace you seek and the direction to bring you joyful contentment. It is up to you to find me. See, I know this is God speaking when I get choked up because it's like, oh my gosh, that is so cool. Thank you for saying that. And then people think it's in my book. I wrote it. No, I am not an addition to scripture. I did not write anything more than God hasn't already told us through his word, the Bible, I believe. So people who are going to say, oh, she's a new ager, she thinks she's hearing from God. You know what? God says that if you want to know what I want you to do, ask me, James chapter 1, and I will tell you. God will tell you today what he wants you to do and who he wants you to get the help from to get to where he wants you to be in your life. If that is doing what I'm doing, then by all means, let's do it. Let's get the ball rolling. I would love to have you be a part of my coaching program. I just started CARA, the Christian Addiction Recovery Academy. You can find it on Facebook, CARA, Christian Addiction Recovery Academy. It is a school that is going to train Christians how to get clean and sober and then how to help other people. And do I help other people besides Christians? By all means. I mean, I am a believer. You got to know where I'm coming from. But if that is not where you're at, hey, I will meet you where you're at because you know what? God created you too. Same God, whoever he is, wherever he is. I haven't seen him personally. I hear him. I believe this is it. We stand on faith. We are in this together. We have to overcome this pandemic together. We have to overcome these obstacles in life and anxiety, depression, addiction are obstacles. Let's work on this together. I am here for you. If you are interested in ordering my book, Down at the bottom, it is Speak to Me, God, I'm Listening by Linda Larson Schlitz. You can go to amazon.com/author/Linda Larson Schlitz, and it will come up and you can order it online there. And I hope you do right now. I got some specials going on. So get in touch with me, please. I've got things going on all the time. I want to help you. I am Linda Larson Schlitz, a faucet of hope, offering help, opportunity, praise, and encouragement to you today. Thanks for being here.